A blind lady, for the first time, joins the police force. Everyone was skeptical, thinking they had made a mistake by bringing her on board. But when they learned about her abilities, they were left speechless. The question now is whether this blind lady, along with her team, will be able to catch the city's most powerful drug dealer. We will have to find out as soon as possible. At the beginning of the story, we are shown a state in America where the situation had deteriorated significantly. The crime rate in the city had risen so much that people were forced to stay indoors. The city was in complete chaos. To address these issues, the government had established a powerful organization, and the officers working in this department were referred to as Forest. Now, we are introduced to one such officer in the department, named Dredd, who is known to be braver than all the other officers. At that moment, he is pursuing 3 criminals who had committed several murders. Dredd chases them on his super bike. After a prolonged chase, the criminal's vehicle meets with an accident, resulting in the death of 2 criminals, while one manages to escape. Dredd is determined to find and eliminate the remaining criminal. Dredd tracks the surviving criminal and finds that the criminal had taken a lady hostage at gunpoint. The criminal threatens that if Dredd approaches, he will shoot the lady. However, Dredd remains unflappable and, in the next moment, fires at the criminal. This indicates how precise Dredd's aim is. Dredd successfully eliminates all 3 criminals. Just then, Dredd receives a call from the department, summoning him urgently. Upon reaching the department, he meets a lady named Anderson, who will be joining Dredd's team. Dredd is initially shocked to hear that Anderson, who is blind, will be working with them. He doubts whether a blind officer could effectively catch criminals. However, the department head reassures him that while Anderson may be blind, her sense of perception is exceptionally sharp. Anderson is not only more understanding than a normal officer, but also possesses some supernatural powers that are beneficial for our department. Despite this, Dredd still doesn't fully trust Anderson. Therefore, he decides to accompany Anderson to the field to assess her capabilities and confirm whether she is up to the task. Dredd tells her that if she fails the test, she won't be allowed to join the department. Meanwhile, we are shown a large building where over 50,000 people used to live. However, the entire building has now been taken over by a dangerous gang led by a woman named Melody. She, along with her gang, is deeply involved in drug dealing and has amassed a lot of money from it. Melody doesn't allow anyone to compete with her in the drug business and is highly intolerant of any interference. 3 criminals who were involved in selling drugs around the city are brought to Melody. These criminals are no longer of use to her. Melody is known for her brutal methods against anyone who interferes with her drug business. To deal with these 3 criminals, Melody's gang starts injecting them with highly dangerous drugs, rendering them helpless. Eventually, Melody's people throw the 3 criminals out of the building, causing their deaths. The news of these incidents reaches the department. When Dredd learns about it, he decides to investigate the place along with Anderson. They arrive at the location where the bodies of the 3 criminals were found. Dredd conducts an investigation with some locals and learns that the person responsible for their deaths is located on the top floor of a large building across from the crime scene. Despite the building's security, Dredd manages to get inside. The building's watchman provides him with information, revealing that a powerful drug dealer named Melody is operating within the building. A few years ago, Melody was not the same as she is now. One day, another drug dealer threw acid on Melody's face, which enraged her. In her fury, she killed that drug dealer. Following this incident, Melody entered the drug dealing business herself. And now, she and her entire gang run the largest drug dealing operation in the city. Reaching Melody through this building is extremely difficult, but Dredd remains confident and is determined to capture her at any cost. Dredd and Anderson enter the building. On the first floor, they encounter many people who are enjoying drugs. These people immediately attack Dredd and Anderson. The 2 of them retaliate, and after a while, half of the attackers are eliminated. Anderson calls for an ambulance to assist the injured. Dredd and Anderson then find one of Melody's key men, whom they take with them. Melody learns that her right-hand man has been captured by 2 police officers, who are still in the building. She becomes quite anxious because if her right-hand man reveals details about her illegal business to Dredd, she will be in serious trouble. Therefore, Melody decides to close down the entire building, placing iron sheets over all the windows to ensure no one can escape. Melody then makes an announcement throughout the building, informing everyone that 2 police officers have infiltrated. She tells them that if they want to safely exit the building, they must kill the 2 officers and bring them to her. Upon hearing this announcement, the residents of the building are horrified and do not want to get involved. As a result, everyone retreats to their rooms and remains silent. Meanwhile, Dredd and Anderson continue to advance with Melody's right-hand man. Dredd attempts to contact his headquarters. However, due to the building being completely sealed, Dredd loses network connectivity. Soon after, Melody's men launch an attack on Dredd and Anderson. Dredd fires continuously at them. Although Melody cannot see, her sensory powers are extremely acute. She senses the body movements of people and continues to shoot at them. Dredd is somewhat amazed by Anderson's abilities, but together, they work as a team and eliminate all of Melody's men. Low on ammunition, Dredd and Anderson must carefully conserve their bullets. They manage to bring Melody's right-hand man to another floor for safety and seek refuge in a woman's apartment on that floor. The woman agrees to help them in exchange for showing them a way out. Therefore, Dredd and Anderson, along with the man, head to the upper floors via the lift since it's the only way to exit. Unfortunately, Melody learns about their location. She instructs her men to halt the lift on the current floor and prepares a very dangerous machine gun to attack Dredd and Anderson. The residents of the floor are terrified as they could also be caught in the crossfire. Melody starts operating the machine gun recklessly, causing massive destruction and casualties among the innocent people on the floor. After the chaos, Melody believes that Dredd and Anderson are dead. However, when she and her men check, they find that Anderson's body is missing, meaning that both Dredd and Anderson are still alive and hiding somewhere in the building. Dredd realizes that Melody is determined to free her right-hand man, suggesting that this man must hold a crucial secret that could provide more information about Melody's operations. Dredd starts interrogating Melody's key man, but the man refuses to reveal anything. Meanwhile, it is discovered that Anderson possesses telepathic powers, allowing her to read anyone's mind. When Anderson read the man's mind, he discovered that Melody's people had created a highly dangerous drug. This drug would intoxicate people but would take their lives within minutes. Outside the building, 2 officers from the department arrive, loudly demanding to open the building's gate. However, Melody had taken a security guard hostage and forcibly made him say that they couldn't open the building doors due to technical problems. Dredd and his team are heading towards an elevator when they are confronted by 2 criminals. Dredd cleverly uses an electric shock to incapacitate them. Seizing the opportunity, Dredd moves Anderson into the elevator. Although Dredd is pleased to have saved Anderson, he realizes that he hasn't succeeded completely. Meanwhile, Melody has located Dredd's position and sends many of her men to attack him. They start firing at Dredd without wasting any time. Dredd, however, manages to escape and move to another floor, avoiding their attacks. Melody then calls in officers from Dredd's own department, who are loyal to her. After they enter the building, Melody instructs them to eliminate Dredd. The officers demand a large sum of money from Melody, who is more than willing to pay, given her substantial wealth. 2 of the officers stay with Melody, while the other 2 search for Dredd. When one officer finds Dredd, he starts talking in a peculiar manner. Dredd quickly realizes that this officer is working for Melody. Despite the officer capturing Dredd, he is unaware that Dredd has faced such situations many times before. Dredd begins to fight back and manages to shoot the officer with his gun. Meanwhile, Melody's key man, who has Anderson with him, is in a room. The man had taken Anderson's gun and was trying to shoot her with it. But then the security system of the gun activates, which can only be fired using Anderson's fingerprint. This attempt fails, resulting in the special man's hand being completely destroyed. Melody then kills him and proceeds forward. At this point, 2 police officers attack Dredd. He manages to eliminate one officer, but he is out of bullets. The other officer realizes this and heads towards Dredd to kill him. Dredd hides in a safe place, but finds himself trapped. Meanwhile, another police officer approaches Anderson, asking him to come along. Anderson reads the officer's mind and realizes that he is a traitor, so she quickly kills him. On the other floor, Dredd is in a dire situation, with the officer continuously firing at him. Dredd is severely injured. Just in time, Anderson arrives and kills the last officer. Now, Anderson and Dredd armed with many bullets, set out to eliminate Melody. They encounter many people along the way who are attacking from the ground, but they bravely face them all. Eventually, they reach Melody's room. Melody, however, shows no fear and seems to have been expecting them. As Dredd is about to shoot Melody, she reveals that he cannot kill her because the entire place is filled with weapons. If Dredd shoots her, the entire place would explode due to the explosives, putting the lives of innocent people in the building at risk. But Dredd notices that everyone was staying on the lower floors of the building, so any explosion on the upper floors wouldn't affect the lower floors. Without wasting any time, Dredd shoots Melody, realizing that she was trying to deceive them. With Melody taken down, Dredd and Anderson manage to get rid of Melody's truck and dispose of it outside the building. Melody, due to the dark effects, was seeing everything in slow motion, and after a while, she dies. This means that Dredd and Anderson have successfully completed their mission. Later, when they return to their department, the chief praises Anderson, saying she is an excellent officer and now a valuable member of their team. After this, Dredd and Anderson set out to reduce crime throughout the city, marking the end of our story.